And I'm like, here I am, second lieutenant. We got a house, still married at the time, got a house, and I'm going to 1st Brigade. So I go down there, spend time in 1st Brigade as a PL, an XO, and worked in the 3 shop, which was another phenomenal experience, doing battalion planning, because now you're away from the LRRA stuff, and you're learning how a battalion staff plans, and you learn actually, which you kind of neglected in your younger years, that intelligence drives missions. And I'm like, oh, I got to work with the S2, phenomenal guy named King. And I'm like, hey, sir, because I'm now still, I'm a 1st lieutenant. I'm like, hey, what's this? So I'm learning stuff from him and all the other stuff that we gather information from, and it converts, special programs and all this other crazy stuff that was coming out at the time. So we did the surge, went back and ended up getting a rifle company somehow. It was a conversation in the battalion commander's office when we were in Beijing. Like, hey, I don't want to go to the captain's career course yet. How do I prolong my stay? Brigade commander comes in, McBride, and he goes, hey, and then he's like, we're trying to figure out how he goes, do you want a company? I'm like, absolutely. Because what 1st lieutenant's going to say, I don't want a company. So I ended up being a company commander for a while down in, same battalion, but I had Charlie Company. And then I had another break. So I was coming out of command, and I didn't, and I didn't know, he explained it to me, my assignments guy, who came from Echo 51st, who was my assignments manager, who worked with Gary Carty, who we worked together in LRSLC, RSLC. So it's that LRS kind of thing going. So he's like, hey, I got to pull you out of command, because once you're 12 months command complete, finish career course, you could go anywhere. I'm like, fair enough. He goes, if you go to Knox, to the Armor Captain's career course, I'll send you anywhere you want to go. I'm like, I want to come back to Campbell. He's like, done. So I went up for 6 months to friggin' Purgatory in Fort Knox. And I met some phenomenal people up there, fellow captains. And I had a phenomenal instructor. I had 2 of them, an Australian major and a Marine Corps tanker major. I had DeMarchi, who was the Australian major, and I had Major Dorn, who was the Marine Corps major. And then the rest, there were phenomenal instructors, but that friggin' cavalry brigade, the commander, the sergeant major, they were just crap. And I'm like, oh, this is the armor community. You're light infantry your whole career, and you see tankers, and it's like, dude, what are those little flappy things on your boots? Why are you wearing that stupid cowboy hat? I'm like, what? And it was, you want to talk about night and day. The course information was phenomenal, because now I learned about logistics for vehicles and planning orders with dismounts of Bradleys and all this other stuff, which you don't think about being in the 101st, as a light infantry air assault guy, or in LRRS. You're like, hey, I got everything on my back, we're good. We'll just drink water out of the paddy. We got a water filter. We'll build a squirrel pole, and we'll live off dead squirrels and rabbits, So had a run in there with a sergeant major who didn't like what I said to him, because he said, you'll stand at position of parade rest when you talk to me. And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, you don't threaten me. I'm like, that's not how this works, Sergeant Major. And then you want to see the battalion commander? I'm like, let's go. So then he tried doing his, I'm 5'8", 235-pound tanker, and I'm thinking, you can't pull any muscle because you can't pull fat, so I'm really not worried about it. So, I went through with some phenomenal guys, and then I had orders at the end to go back to the 101st. And I had a couple choices. I could have went down to Bragg, or whatever it is now, Liberty. Could have went up to Fort Lewis. There were 2 Corps LRRS units up there, and I'm like, I need to get back to Campbell. The family's there. I'm still married. He's like, you going on the 4th Brigade, the Currie's, or the Pathfinders? And I'm like, Pathfinder is as close as I'm going to get to going back to a LRRS unit. I'm like, I'll take the Pathfinders.